So we'll start in a few minutes. Let the others also join. Meanwhile, any query you have, you can ask me. Now we are going to work on lambda expressions. Right. So basically, what is lambda expression? Okay. So just to give you an idea how what it is. So when we want to create a function, right, and for creating the function in Python, we use a def keyword, right? Then we keep the function name, like my fun, like parentheses open, close, right? This is the way through which we create a function in Python. Okay, so we bind functions by the name when we create them, right? And the name of the function here is my fun. Okay, so we always create function like this, but sometimes we want to declare the function anonymously, right, without its name. Okay, okay. So when we want to declare or create a function without its names, then we use lambda expression. So lambda expression is used to create functions without the names, without this def keyword. Okay, that is a lambda function. Okay, its syntax is simple. You simply write lambda. Lambda is a keyword. Then your argument, colon, an expression using the argument. This is the syntax of lambda expression. Okay, see this? Okay, this is the expression for your lambda function. Now the question is, why would I want to create a function without name, like without uh, declaring it like def my fun and then using it again and again? Okay, why would I need a situation, or where would be that situation, or what will be that situation where I'll be requiring to create a function without a name? Can you think of such situation, guys? Anyone? It's a situation where I will need to create a function without name. Okay, uh, the situations does arise like this. Okay, where you need to use the function only once, that too for simple tasks. In that case, there's no point in creating a function with def keyword and then using it when you're only going to use once, right? So in such scenarios, we create lambda functions. Okay, let's see an example. I'm going to create a new file here, guys. Just give me a sec. Okay, so I've named it as lambda expressions. So the syntax of lambda is simple. Hey, there's something complex about this. You give the keyword as lambda, your argument, then a colon, then expression using this argument. Right. Okay. So normal function, if I wanted to create, I would have created like this. Say return x plus or x into 3. Okay, that is your normal function. Okay, how would you have called this function? You'd have called this function like this, right? Any doubt in this? Any doubt here, guys? So you created a function, now you can call it again and again, right? Now lambda will look a bit different. Okay, I'll create a variable, say lamb, that will be equal to lambda is the keyword, argument is going to be x, and expression will be x to the power 3. How are you going to call this? Lamb 2. Okay, see this. Okay, am I audible, guys? Okay, thank you. So this is how your lambda basically looks like. Okay, now instead of creating a function, naming it, we simply assign it to, uh, you can say, a variable, and then you're performing the operation. Now, there are so many things that you can do with this. Okay. Now, if you wanted to create a function, say, which takes 3 parameters, x, y, z, right, for example. Okay, and it simply returns x plus y plus z. Okay. Now, if you wanted to call this function, you would have called like this, 1, comma 2, comma 3. That would have returned you 6. Right, so when you call this function, it will return you the value, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3. Now, same thing when you create in lambda, you can have them 1 equals to lambda. Now, all your arguments, guys, basically that you were passing inside the function, right? Here you pass x, that is your argument, that will come here. Similarly, here that you pass x, y, z is going to come here, x, comma, y, comma, z, x plus y plus z. How are you going to call this? Lam1, 1, comma 2, comma 3. Okay, try it out. So it basically saves you some lines of code, right? As you can see. Apart from that, it's the easiest way of creating a function. Right? Okay. It's the easiest way of creating a function. basically you can even uh, compress it in a single line. You can do like this. Okay, that can be compressed even further, right? Where you're passing the you're using parentheses to declare the value, right? And that has been passed into your lambda function. Okay, so that saves you a lot of time and coding lines. So in lambda function, your output is also always represented as the return, right? This is going to be return only by default, and it is going to return an expression. So lambda function always returns an expression. Okay, that is what you can say. So in Python, your lambda functions are or lambda expressions are not necessary, right? They are not necessary at all, but they are quite handy in many of the situations. Output is not getting displayed. Where are you trying this, Prashant? As in, you're running it here, or you're running it here. In both the scenarios, you should be able to see the output. Let me read. On console, see, Prashant, did you select history log or did you select console? Like, just make sure of that. Apart from that, if it's not working, then simply you have an option where you can restart it. Right? Click on this setting button and simply restart it. Restart kernel. Okay, that will work. Now, another situations where you use it, situations like basically for printing, right? Let's say that you want to print hello, right? This is a function that you want to create, and it's simply printing hello. Right? How are you going to call this? Print hello. Right? So when you execute this function, which is print hello, right? This is how we execute a function, right? We create a function, it is printing something, and then we call that function, right? So when you want to print something like this, customize your prints, then you create a function for that, right? And creating a function using def keyword and all is something which is not preferred, right? Okay, instead of this, it is preferred to use lambda. Now here, since there is no argument, so I'll leave it empty, right? Instead of, see, because this does not have any argument, so I'm going to leave this empty. And expression is nothing, it's just print. And it's going to be empty. Better way is to keep it simple. So you created this, now you have to call this, so you're going to call it like this. Good. See this, guys? So basically what I'm doing in Lambda is I'm matching the arguments in your normal function. So if you had to create a normal function, how you're going to call it, how you're going to create it, is what is going to help you in creating the Lambda initially. Later on, as you start practicing more and more, you'll come to know you won't be needing this help, right? But initially, you can consider creating the normal function and see that, okay, which argument I'm using. So that argument is going to be here, and the expression which I want to return or print is going to be here. Okay, so this is how you can analyze this. Okay, guys, are you getting it? Okay, so when we create a default function, how do you create this? Let's call it fun2. A default argument function, how do you create this? I have a equals to 2, b equals to 3. Right. That is your default function. And you want to print, say, a, b, something like this. And I want to call this, so I can call it like this only, right? Because the values are default. Call it like this. 2 and ampersand 3. Right, so these are the default values. So I can change one of the value, like I get 4. So one value will be overridden, right? Or I can override both the values. Right? So these are your default values. Or I remember we created or we defined function on the basis of the arguments that we pass, and there were 4 kinds of arguments: required, keyword, default, and variable length. Right? That is example of your default one. Right? Same thing you can do in Lambda also. Let's call it a equals to Lambda. I can have say x equals to 1, comma y equals to 2, comma z equals to 3. I can perform x plus y plus z. Right, so these are default values. I can call it directly like this. I can call it using some 2 values or 1 value. Right, I can call it using 2 values. I can call it using 3 values. Okay, I'm going to change this. Like I can call it like all of these ways. Okay, I have to call it one by one. Okay, now how is it possible, guys? So it is what we had done yesterday only, right? Here you are simply giving the default values. So if I don't pass any of a value, it is going to take the default values, right? That is 1 comma 2 comma 3. If I pass first value, it is going to take first value as 11, then the rest of it will be 2 and 3. If I pass two values, it's going to take two arguments values, and third will be by default, right? And so on. Okay, so these are the same things you can perform in lambdas also. It's quite useful. Okay, guys, easy. So you understood one thing here, uh, like this, that it is not mandatory to provide the argument, right? In this expression, argument is not compulsory, but expression is compulsory, right? Without expression, it's not going to work. Okay, so always remember this. Okay, you can do more things, right? Like see this one of the function. Let's have that title as a, see, title is, so it is a string, it's a variable title. Name is something that we can pass as lambda. Mm, lambda x. I can have title plus a space plus x. X is something that we are going to take from the user. Right? And it's going to return us the complete name. Right? See this function and try to understand how you're going to call this. Right? So basically what we are doing here, guys, we are calling function from within the function, and that is only possible with the help of lambda, right? Okay, so creating function inside a function is one of the very big usage of lambda, right? That is one real-time usage. Apart from that, when you don't want to create a complete function, as in by using def keyword and naming it, right, and then calling it somewhere, right? Say you created function at the top, and then you want to call it at what 100 lines or 120th line, right? In that scenario, we don't use this, right? Okay, we prefer using lambda where we are creating it at the point where we want to call it, right? Apart from that, uh, one of the major reason of using lambda is you don't want to create a function or you don't want to name a function, right? In those scenarios, and these are the main scenarios where we create lambdas, right? Or for passing function as an argument to a function, right? Okay, we'll see those examples. So if you want to pass function as an argument to a function, right? So this is a function. If I want to pass argument function as an argument to this function, then I'll be using lambda, right? So these are scenarios where we prefer or we basically use lambda. One is to create a function without any name and at any place. Second, the restriction you can see that with lambda is that you can only create lambda for a simple task, right? You cannot perform heavy tasks with this. Okay, so it has to be very less complex, right? Whatever you are going to do with lambda has to be least complex, right? So Next thing we do to create or for a lambda or using lambda is you can create function within a function with the help of lambda, or you can pass function as an argument to a function with the help of lambda. Right? So lambda solves a lot of issues here. Got it? The usage of lambda in real time in Python. These are the three situations where you use lambda. Now, how I'm going to call this, guys? So I've created a function, and that function has a string and a lambda, and x is the you can see that the argument or the variable that we are going to pass, and we are going to add title to our name. Say, for example, Sir Vidhan, right? Something like this. Okay, and we are going to return this value. Okay, and how are you going to call this? First, obviously, you'll have to call the function. So first, you'll have to call this function, and then you'll have to call this function, right? Uh, to pass the value. So you'll have to call this function twice, right? Because there's a function within the function. Okay, now how are you going to do that? Try it out. So the question is how you're going to call this function, right? So you have function within the function. Um, First, let's call this function, right? So you have called this function, you have created an object of this, right? Now you have to call inner function. So again, what you're going to do is you're going to call it like this, and you're going to pass the name. Check this. So first you call the function, which is the main function, and you assign it to an object, right? And since that object is able to access all these values, we called the inner function and we assigned the variable, and in return we got the name. Okay. You can consider it or you can analyze it like this. Okay, guys. Now you can do some more like, see, these are the simple things that we can do with the lambdas. Like you can do a little more, you can say that advanced kind of a thing, right? Uh, you can find out the uh, minima or maxima between two numbers, right? Okay, I can create let's say a variable, right? Value is lambda x comma y, right? Now your expression, guys, could be if and else also, right? Expression is something that it could be anything. I can have if and else also. So if x is less than y, Then which is minimum? X is minimum, else Y is minimum. Right? You can do something like this. And then you can pass two numbers like 100, sorry, 101 into 99 or 102 into 98. Okay, which one will be bigger, which one will be smaller? You can find it out. Okay, you'll have to do the math. Okay, I think 102 into 98 is smaller because it's giving you an even value at the end, right? See this example. See, I'm showing you all the possibilities that can happen using the lambda, and it does saves you a lot of time. Okay, can you create a lambda function for finding out if a number is even or odd? Create a lambda form for finding if a number is even or odd. Try it out. Finding out if number is even or odd. Okay, just a simple exercise. Right. So if you wanted to do the same in say by creating function, okay. So try both the ways, guys. Right. With lambda forms and with your def keyword. That way you'll be able to understand what is the difference and how it works. So in both the cases, you'll have to use if, right? A function with an if. Take 2-3 minutes. Try it out. Yes, exactly. Rajin, you got it right. So you can have print at both the ends, right, Rajin? Print number is even if then your expression, then else print number is not even. Okay, first let's see how you're going to create it using your normal function. Right, so what we want to do is we want to take, I want to create a function for creating, finding out even odd. Let's call it like this. It takes a particular number, right? This function is going to take a particular variable, and then you have to find it out. How? If x uh, percentage 2 is equal to 0, right? That is, there is no remainder. Then print number is even. Else print number is odd, right? This is how you normally work with this, right? Then you write even, odd, and you pass say 5 or 4, any number, right? You pass say 2, number is even, right? So that is your normal way of creating a function for this. Okay, now if the same thing you wanted to do with lambda, right? See, the reason I wanted to do it with lambda is because, say, I'm going to only create this, or I'm going to use only this concept once. So there's no point in creating a function and then calling it where I want to. It's better that I create that function there only where I want to call it, right? And lambda helps me out in doing so. I have lambda. X is the argument. Okay. Now, if you remember yesterday, right, we were doing this. Not here. Not here also. At the end of the loops, right? This is what we were doing. Okay, the last thing that we learned was this ternary, or we call it ternary operations, right? That is shorthand writing, or writing things in a compressed format, like if and else. Right? Same thing we have to apply here. Okay, I'm simply going to print number is even if x percentage 2 equal to 0, else I'm going to print number is, and I'm going to assign it to say no, odd even variable. Okay, I should not be naming it like this. Right, now I can call it like this, say 3. Okay, it's underscore, not hyphen. And number is odd, number is even. Now, you can even cut it short, right? Okay, so lambda saves you a lot of time and a lot of hassle, to be honest. That's why we use lambda. Or I can call it like this, in a single line. Okay, they all are legit, guys. They all are what we can do. Kuntal, you'll have to print it, right? If you simply write it in strings, that is not going to solve the purpose. Okay, actually. So it is going to return you even or odd, but it won't be of any use. It will have to print it. Yes, Neeraj, you got it right. So you can try both of them, guys. There's just simply these two only have a difference of representation, right? Nothing else. Logically, they both are working in the same way. Now, instead of me writing like this, Okay, now I'm able to write the same task like this. Okay, and without declaring the name, without increasing the more lines of code, and that is how your lambda work, right? Lambdas are quite useful, guys. Okay, I think that covers almost everything about lambda, as in the good things about lambda, right? You can create lambda within lambda, but that is not required to know. Now, okay, let me know once you are done with this. Then we'll talk about some of the inbuilt functions and how you pass function as an argument to a function with the help of the lambda. Uh, we are not intended to cover, but I'll tell you about that also. Okay. See, the sole purpose of this was to make our working with Python easier, as in to save the time and to automate things and log files and all those things that you normally use in your daily uh, life as a coder, right? Especially even if you are from testing background or you're from a scripting background, right? So decorators and were not covered in this, but yeah, I'll tell you about that. Okay, so we'll cover our course content, and after that, we will have a bit of time, right? Okay, uh, we'll do a lot of different scenarios after we complete our everything. Okay, under what scenario, how you basically going to work, and exercises under different scenarios. Okay, so that is your lambda, guys. Any queries on this? Now, there are few functions which are quite useful, right? Okay, basically there are three functions uh, which is quite useful when you talk about functional programming. Can we take user input? Yes, you can take the user input. Okay, you can try taking the user input. Right. Okay. Okay, guys, try taking the user input here. How you want to? How is going to work? Okay, Suresh is saying no. Okay, try it out because I actually don't remember if we can take it or not. Right. Uh, so I am relying on you. Try it out and tell me if you can take it or not. Examples for useful function. Okay, I didn't understand. your query, Suresh, as in what useful function you are referring to. Yes, they are quite useful. Okay, I'll show you a few of the example. Right. Okay, we have not come to that example. Okay, where see we have seen an example where you can actually compress things, right? And without creating, see this was you can see that normal way of writing a function and getting the result. That is your lambda way, and you can see that how compressed I can make it, right? Okay, now this was one of the use case or one of the usage of lambdas. Apart from that, we can pass a function to another function, right, as an argument using lambda. That is a other things that we are going to do right now. Okay, passing function is another function. Okay, Rajendra share a code. uh, Let me copy and paste it, you can try it out. Okay, what Rajin is saying, lambda x. Okay, you take x. Is it working? Okay, let me paste here. Yes, try it out, guys. Yes, Prashant, that okay. Let me copy and paste it here so that you guys can see it. Mm, yes, that should also work. Okay, you're directly passing it here. Yes. First thing that will be called is your number. Right. So I think this is a better way because here you're passing the variable, right, the argument's value, and that you're passing as a directly as a user input. Okay, let me check. Okay, Prashant. Okay, you guys got an idea, right? How it was going to work. So yes, you can take the input. Okay. So normally in Python you can do a lot of things that you think you cannot do in other languages. Right? It's easier to do in Python. Okay, Saga, you tried something, it's not working. Let me copy and paste. Let me check, right? Everybody will be able to see this. Okay. So this is what you have tried. No, no. See, after this, Saga, you'll have to, well, how do you call a function? Like this, right? Here you have to pass the x. Now, instead of, no, you simply have to add this line. That's it. Then it should work. Right? You'll have to call the function also, right? You didn't call the function. Otherwise, everything is working fine. Okay, Saga, you only miss calling the function. And then we have Neeraj's answer. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste it. so that you can have it with you guys. Yeah, it should be working. Right, so this is how, okay guys, so I think you got an idea about how to proceed with Lambda, right? So it's quite easy to work with Lambda and it saves a lot of time. Now, there are conditions where you use Lambda, and one of the condition is where you don't want to create a function, right? You simply want to, or when you're using, or the function that you are going to create is going to be called only once, right? In that scenario, you don't want to create function with def keyword and name it and all. You would like to skip it, right? In that scenario, we use Lambda, right? Okay. Now, there are three functions, like uh, which are used for functional, or which are the epitome, or is the example of functional nature of Python. These functions are what we call map. Map function is there, filter function is there, and reduce function is there, right? Okay. Now these are important function, guys. These solves a lot of complex issues in quite a simpler way. Okay. So let's see this. Let's start with map function. Map, filter, and reduce. Okay. So your first one is map. Now, what map does, it takes two arguments, guys. Like one is the function itself, and other one is your sequence. Like there are two arguments that is being taken up by map function. One is your function itself, and another one is your sequence. Right. Uh, okay, do one thing, guys. Create a function for finding out the square of a number. Okay. So you have to create a function with def keyword to find out, to calculate square of a number. Do that. Simply create a function to find out the square of a number. Okay. Tell me how is it going to look like? It's simple, right, guys? Creating a function with def keyword to find out the square of a number. In the second solution, are we using, okay, when you say second solution, Rajen, which one you are referring to? You're talking about this one, right? Where you're passing uh, it as an input function, right? In the second function solution, are we using function as a variable or argument as a variable? Arguments are used as a variable, right? Whatever we are passing here, these are the arguments, and we are passing it as a variable, right? That's why we name it as x, right? So in your normal function also, whenever you pass the argument, right, these are basically your variables. See, arguments are nothing; they are variables that can be passed inside, or they have the access to the inside of a function, right? So here also we are passing the argument, right, which is basically a variable as an input, as the output of the input function. Right, that's what you can say. Okay, I think a lot of you have got how to create a not a square root, but a finding out the square. Like square root will be different, right? Okay, so let's see that a simple function, it will be like, it's going to start with def square value, and it is going to return you x to the power 2, right? So that is your function, x to the power 2. So you got the function, right? Okay, in map definition you have two things. One is the function, we got the function. Other one is sequence. So let's have the sequence. That will have the your number equals to, either you can have it as a list or you can have it as a tuple. I'll have it as a tuple, 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Okay, so you got your sequence, you got your function. Right now what you need to do, you need to pass it to the map function. Right? Map. Right now this is what we call passing function as a argument to another function. Right, here what you're going to pass, your square is a function and your sequence, which is the number. Okay, and we are going to assign it to a variable. Right? We have to assign it to a variable, and we can print that variable, but it won't make sense actually. Okay, you'll come to know why. Let's see. So we printed the variable, it won't make sense. So what we need to do is we need to pass it to a string or to a list for it to make sense, right? This is always, you'll have to do something with map function. You'll have to pass the outcome to a list. Okay, because the object that is created here, like the result variable that is created, the value that you're getting as an output from map function is a map object, right? That you can read here. That map object is only going to make sense if you pass it to a list. Okay, otherwise you won't be able to see anything on it, right? So always remember that to pass the map object to the list. Okay, try it out. Now do the same thing, guys, that I did with square function. Now instead of creating as a def, create it as a lambda function and pass it to the map. So this is the functional behavior of Python, right? Map. Now you have to do the same task here. Instead of square function that you have created with name, just create a lambda function, right? Okay, pass it as a lambda function. Okay, let me show you. result is going to be map lambda x to the power 2 comma numbers, print result lamp. You have to pass it to the list. Okay. See this? Same thing I'm doing with the help of lambda. Lambda saves a lot of time in this case. Right now you don't have to create a function then call the function name. Instead of this, you're directly creating function here. Right? That is something nice to do in Python. Yes, Aditya, you got it right. Square. Yep. So you can create it outside and assign it to a variable and then refer to the variable, right? Okay. Yes, Sai, that is a good question. That is what I was going to ask you. Right? So basically, how see map is a built-in function, right? We have not created this. You can see the color, right? It's kind of a purple color, right? Do you call it a purple or what? No, I'm not good with colors. So you can see that color has changed, right? So when you have inbuilt functions, right? Print is an inbuilt function, list is an inbuilt function. The color are different, right? So map is also an inbuilt function. Now what it does is it takes a function and a sequence, and inside the sequence, on all the elements, it applies the function. Right? So basically, what it is doing, so it will take the sequence. This is a sequence, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Sequence or data structure, you can call it, or whatever you want to call it, right? And then it apply on each element of the sequence the functional or the it passes each element to the function and perform the action and then put it in another structure, and everything will be presented in the same order, but with on each element the function will be applied, right? So you see that 1 will become 1, 2 will become 4, 3 will become 9, 4 will become 16, 5 will become 25. So basically it is going to map a function on each and every element of the list or tuple, right? And will give you a result. So it saves you a lot of time actually, right? Say you want to perform certain operations on each and every element of a list. Okay, instead of now looping through it and performing the operation, you have map function which can directly do it for you. Okay. Say one of the example that you can do is say you want to add two elements or two lists. Like you want to add two lists. Okay, try it out, guys. You have two lists. Let's have L1 equals to say 1, 2, comma 3, and L2 equals to 10, 20, comma 30. Right? You have two lists. Okay. Now, what you need to do is basically you need to, with the help of map and lambda, what you need to do is you need to add these two lists, right? Add the elements, or you need to get the result like this. Result should be 11, 22, 33 with the help of map and lambda. Try it out. You have two lists, L1, L2, using map and lambda. Get the result as 11, 12, 30, or 33. Right? That is, you're adding the each and every element to itself. Okay, try it out. Now, Sai, with this example, you'll understand what is happening actually if you haven't got the clarity. So it's a simple example, you can say that, right? Now, one of the query that somebody had asked me, I think 2 or 3 lectures back, right? That can also be solved using this. Okay, I'll show you that too. So these are, guys, these are your quick solutions that you can adopt and you can apply in Python. Right? You can solve actually a lot of issues with the lambda, as in when you want to calculate something quickly, when you apply some logic very quickly. Okay, and that is only going to be used once. Right? Okay, how is it going to be? Anybody? Okay, let's have map. Okay, let's create this function. You'll have lambda inside it, lambda x comma y, right? Because now you have two lists, x plus y. We want to add each and every element, right? So you got the function. Now you have to pass L1, L2. That's it. So basically what is going to happen, guys, it's going to take one element each of L1 and L2, and one will be considered as x, 10 will be considered as y, and x plus y will be 11, and that will be kept aside. Then the second element will be taken, 2 and 20 will be assigned to x and y, and then it will become 22, and so on. You'll get 33, and then it will create a new final result that will be 11 comma 22 comma 30 that you can get in a list. Number one, two, three. Number one. Yes, you got exactly, Kuntal. Okay, it's simple. Now, one of the scenarios that I was talking about is, say I have a huge list, right? Let's say that I have a huge list or a tuple, and I'm interested in knowing the length of the each and every element inside that list. Right? That is one of the problem statement that we face, right? To find out the length of each and every element inside a list. Uh, okay, how to do this with def? Instead of creating like this, you create a function, right, with a name, and then you'll have to pass that function here also, right? Instead of, see, only thing that you have to change, Neeraj, is the function. Your uh, see, in the syntax of map, you pass two things: function and sequence. Sequence is not going to change. Function from lambda will become your def. So in that case, your function will be like this: def uh, my add x comma y, return x plus y, right? And you pass that my add into this map. That's it. Okay, try it out. No worries. Okay, guys. Next is what? Yeah. So if you want to find out the length, say for example, okay, for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function, right? So like this. Say x equals to uh, map lambda x. See, I want to find out the length, and length of Vidhan max. Something like this. So guys, every time you get the map object is x, you'll have to pass it to a list. Otherwise, it won't make sense. Right. So what I'm doing here, guys, I'm simply calculating the length of each and every element. Right. Vedant's total length is there are 6 characters, so 6. Max is 3. Bella is 5, and Qwerty U is 7. Right. So these kind of tasks, which are quite useful and logical, can be done with the help of Lambda. Okay, with the help of map. Okay, so try out one of the exercises, right? I think last exercise for the map, right? Then we'll move to filter. Okay, and this exercise I want you to try by yourself properly, right? So basically, what you need to do is you need to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, right? Okay, what is the formula? If the value is in Fahrenheit, then you have 9 by 5 into Celsius plus 32. That is for conversion of. Okay, and vice versa. The formula that you have is something like um, to calculate the Celsius, you have 5 divided by 9 multiplied by Fahrenheit minus 32. Right. So these are the formula. Now, guys, use whatever you want to use. You want to use lambda, use lambda. You want to use def keyword, use def keyword. What you need to do is I'm giving you a series of temperature using a list, right? Let's say that the temperature is something like this, say 34, 35, 33, 32, 31, 30, font C. So obviously these temperatures are in Celsius. Right now, using lambda or def keyword, or basically using map function, find out the Fahrenheit of this. Okay, try it out. It's one of the problem statement that you can try for this. Okay, so you can use def keyword or you can use lambda. It's totally up to you. So I think start with def, right? Don't go into lambda for this right now, right? Because they both will be same actually, right? Use whatever you are comfortable in with, right? And then we'll see how to translate into another. Okay, that will clarify lambda for you. So basically, what lambda, see what property of map we are going to use, that the operation that we can perform, this calculation, map will be able to perform on each element at a time and will give you result as an element, and that you can present it in a list, right? So that is something which map is very good at. What is the only thing that map can do, right? Map the function to each and every element of a sequence. In our case, the list. X minus L2. Check is it working or not, or do you need to basically put it under parenthesis so that the calculation is not. See, it follows BODMAS, James, right? So see if your calculation you're getting result or right or wrong. Otherwise, you might have to put x minus L2 inside the parenthesis. Right? Kindly check that. Otherwise, it's right. Or do you need to convert it into a float or assign it to a float? Okay. Let me check. Yes, that is what I was telling you, right? Okay, you have to put it in under parentheses so that that operation occurs first, and then the result is multiplied by 559. Hmm. Okay, Prashant, I'll have to check that. Let's say our temperature see. Yeah, that should. Okay, the calculation is correct. Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, 9 by 5 plus 32. Okay, Rajin, your calculation, can you check that? Right. We have to convert Celsius into Fahrenheit. Okay, the calculation that you're performing, you're taking Fahrenheit values, whereas our values are Celsius. So your first operation will happen, that is 9 by 5 into Celsius plus 32. Okay, change that. Okay, that is something that you have done. I think the formula you have applied is wrong. Yes, Prashant, I think it's going to work. Okay, guys, let me show you. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function, right, and name this function as calculate Fahrenheit, right? And it's going to take some Celsius values, right? Let's call it C. And in return, it's going to return us back the conversion of Celsius into Fahrenheit. Okay, how is it going to look like? I can have it as 9 by 5 into C plus, how much was it? 32, right? Okay, something like this. So you can basically check this out, right? Okay. So this is kind of a formula that you can create, right? I'm showing it to you with the help of def, right? The keyword. Okay. So you are calculating the Fahrenheit. You have the Celsius temperature. Okay. You got the temperature. Let me copy and paste it here. Okay. Now next thing what you need to do is for calculating the Fahrenheit, let's call it FAH map. This is a function. Um, this is the value. Okay, you have to pass it through a list. Okay, always forget this. Okay. See this? Okay, got it. Now the same thing you can do with the help of lambda. Here instead of this, you'll have lambda c. And remember, I every time you write the expression. Right? So here will come your expression. Okay, same thing with the help of lambda now. Okay, so they both are easy to understand, right? So see, if the concept of your normal function with the def keyword is clear, then you'll find lambda is nothing, is just the same thing with a different representation, right? Here you have the argument, here you have the argument, here you have the expression in return, here you have the expression in return. That's it. Right? So lambdas are quite easy to work with, guys. So if you have a good practice on lambda, this will be very helpful for you in doing the task faster, automating the task, and all those scenarios. Okay. Now, next thing, guys, you need to do is the value that you are getting. Okay, I want you to store it in some place, right? Okay, and some uh, like the Fahrenheit value you are getting. Okay, try this out. Convert it back into Celsius. Okay, the Fahrenheit value that you're getting, that you can see on the right hand side of the screen, the bottom. What you need to do is you need to convert it back into Celsius. Okay, using lambda or def keywords. It's up to you. Okay, try it out. Tried? Mm, no, Aditya, you are getting the value as in Fahrenheit, right? Okay, convert it back into Celsius. So temp C that you're passing is already in Celsius. Okay, the variable that you have taken as temp C is already the Celsius, right? So you want Fahrenheit there. Okay, try it out. Let's take a break, guys, and we'll continue from here. Okay. Meanwhile, you can try the exercise, and then I'll tell you the solution. Let's take a break, guys. Okay, guys, let me know once you all are back. Right, then we'll start. Okay, too much sound, right? Okay. Now, so basically, what we need to do is see we got the temperature, right? We got the Fahrenheit temperature. We simply have to pass it to the your Celsius one. So you can do it in two ways. Calculate Celsius, where you're going to pass Fahrenheit value, and then you're going to return um, what? Was a formula 5 divided by 9 multiplied by F minus 32. So that is the formula. Okay, how are you going to apply this? You're going to calculate the Celsius using the map function. Here you're going to pass the calculate Celsius and the temperature, which is FAH. Right. So I'm passing the object of map. Right. It's going to take it. Okay. You don't have to worry about that. And then you're simply going to print as this the object of the map. Okay, it's empty. Um, okay, can you tell me why I'm getting this as empty? Yep. Check this out. The reason I was getting it empty is because FAH object, um, there was no value in FAH object, so I ran this code again and then I executed this again. See this? You can do this in a single line also, guys. Um, Shove it in F. It's getting the empty values. So basically, let's have this fh underscore lamp here. Right, as the calculated Fahrenheit with the lambda. Okay, we've got fh lambda. Now it should work. Okay, check this out. So basically, the reason I was getting the empty value is because fah variable had no value. Right, so we had to execute this again. Okay, or you can save it into a list. Right, that's something that you can do. So the map object is not a permanent object; it's a temporary object. So you will have to save it again and again into this. Okay. So normally we use map a lot, right? You can use map like this also. Say you have a list. Okay, I can directly pass it to a list. Okay, let's not do that. Um, result one map. First will be the function, and ours is a lambda function. X to x percentage 2 equal to 0. Okay, that is your lambda function, and we are passing a sequence which is this, and then we are going to print it as list. Okay, see this. So we have created a list 1, 2, 3, 4 till 14, right? And we have created a lambda function or lambda. Here we are passing two values. One is a sequence, that is li1. Other one is a lambda function, which is kind of a lambda function which we have never passed through a map. And then we are printing the outcome. Now, what is going to be the outcome of this, guys? That is going to be interesting. Can you think of the outcome here? See here, the expression is simply comparative, right? That okay, if we divide the element of list by 2, the remainder will be 0. That is only possible if the number is um, even. So what it should give? It should give the even odd. No, there's nothing like even odd in Python, as in Python does not write even or odd. So probably you should get the number as the boolean. See this another use case where you use this map function. So it is giving you true and false. So x, or the modulus of x, or modulo of x by 2, is if it's 0, it is comparing with every element. So when 1 divided by 2, it does not give you a modulus 0, so that is false. 2 by 2 is true, and so on. Okay. So basically, it performs the functional operation on each and every element of the sequence that you are passing. Okay, that is what your map does. Or map maps the function to each and every element of the sequence that you have passed. Okay, that is another way of defining the map. Got it, guys? Simple. Let me know once you're done with this. Okay. After this, we are going to talk about filter. We're going to see filter. Okay. Understood, guys? Done? Next is we have is what we call filter. Filter is also a function which is similar to your map function. Only thing different is the way they behave. Right? Filter syntax is same as your map. Right? You pass the function and the sequence. Right? Okay. Let's perform the same task that we are doing here. Instead of this, let's use filter. Okay. So we perform this task, right? I'm going to change the name here so that it doesn't clash. See here. Mhm. Yeah, thank you, Sai. I'll figure out later. See here, what filter is doing here, guys? Now filter basically, see map what it used to do, the function it used to apply that function, and it used to apply it on each and every element, whereas filter basically filters a particular sequence on the basis of function that you have applied, right? Now this function says that uh, filter the list on the basis of this criteria, right? What does it say? Filter this structure or list on the basis of this criteria, right? That's why you are getting only the output as even number. Okay, see this? Okay, so any queries you have? Anything I miss? Kindly ask me again. Right? Okay, how is it generating true or false instead of result value? See, there is no result value that it can generate. Sai, if you look at this, this is a conditional statement, right? This is not a calculation. This is a simple condition, right? On the basis of condition, it is just showing true or false. That is only what it can do, right? Here also we are using the same conditional statement, but here we are filtering it. Right? Now I'm filtering it on the basis of even. Right? So that is filter for you. Or you can do something like this. Okay. Again, it is going to filter it on the basis of this. Okay. Try it out and let me know if you have any queries. Right. So there's not much of the exercise on filter. Filter is simply used to filter your sequence on the basis of what you want. Right. So you want to take out only the evens, you want to take out only the odds, then you can use filter in that scenario. Okay, one more example that you can try, okay, that I can show you with your normal function, right? Let's say my fun 3, right? Let's name it like this, x, right? Say if x is less than 10, return true. Else returns false. You can use this list only. Okay, I'm naming it in a different way.
and then you can simply filter it. Right? See this. What is it? What is it doing? Try to understand this. If I convert this true into false and this into true, what this is going to do? Now it is printing values which are more than 10. Okay. Yes, I want yeah, I want you to try to understand this, what is happening here actually. Okay, let's make it a kind of a use case, right? Instead of showing it like this, uh, let's have it age. We are finding out the adults which are greater than say 18, right? That will be adults. So we are going to find out the adults which are greater than 18. Okay, and here we are going to print the adults, and here is the age. Okay, so these are the adults that we have. Now understand, try to understand this program, guys. Now we are using true and false here. Okay, now true. Okay, so basically it's going to take all the values, or it's going to keep all the values which returns you true. It's going to uh, leave all the values which returns false. Okay, so that is one of the example where we use filter. Okay, so that is filter for you guys. Let me know if you have any queries on this. Yes, in x less than 10, say if you have kept return as true, then it will return you values from 1 till 9, 1 till 10. Okay. Okay, take a homework, right? Okay, let me give you a task that you can do later on. Uh, Say you have a list of words, okay, a list of strings. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So say you have this list, right? Now what you need to do, okay, it's in the homework, right, guys? What you need to do is you need to find all the palindromes. Right? That is the words which are equal. Right? For example, FWF, when you read from left or right, they are same. LOL is like that. C's is like that. Right? These are your palindromes. So you have to find out the palindromes from a list of the words using lambda and filter. Okay? That is your task. Take it as homework. Not for now, guys. Right? I'll do it later. Okay, so that ends your filter. Next is what we call reduce. Okay, now reduce is you can see that basically is not the part of your normal uh, you can say that core Python, right? Reduce is not part of your core Python. It was moved into a module called func tools. Actually, it's a module, func tools. Let me write it down. It moved to a module called func tools or functional tools. Okay, now it is quite useful. Okay, and reducing few of the things. So there's one thing that I'm going to show you, which we are going to learn after this. Right, that is modules. So first you need to import the module. Okay, or simply import func tools. This is the module that you need to import. Import func tool dot reduce as reduce. Okay, you need to import this, right? And the operation that you can perform, right, is basically, as the name suggests, is for reducing something, right? Okay, again, its syntax is almost same, where what you do is you write reduce and you pass function and you pass sequence. Now, unlike your filter and map, it does not give you the same size of output. It reduces the size of the output. How? Uh, Reduce, and then let's say that you have function lambda x comma y x plus y. Right. Now, first thing first, guys, in reduce function, you'll have to at least use two variables. So there has to be two variables, two arguments in the function. Okay, and let's say that you have sequence like this: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, this is what you have. Okay, let's see. Functool is not a package. That's strange. Just give me a second. I'm just checking. Yeah, it is. Functool is a package, right? Okay. So I'm just going to change this. Yeah, guys, write it like this. I think that should also work. Nope. You have to write it like this only. Okay. No worries. I wanted to avoid the complexity, but again. Okay. Anyways, so write it like this. So basically what we're doing here is we are importing func tools, which is basically a module. And inside this module, we have reduce, right? Since it is inside it, so that's why we are calling it like this, functools dot reduce. Right? We use dot operator to call something which is inside some another thing. Okay. You want to see this in modules. Okay. And then we are passing lambda, which is x and y. So in reduce function, guys, you have to pass the function with two argument always, right? And then the list, then what is it doing, guys, is it is reducing it into one value, and that is 55. That is, I think, the sum of these. Right? You can do the calculation. 10, 15, 21, 28, 36, 45, 55. Yeah, it's 55. Like, now, how is it working actually? So it's a quite interesting way in which this func tool basically work. Like, say you have 1, 2. Okay, these are the numbers that you have, right, in the list. Okay, let's not do this, right? And the function that you created was like this: x comma y. So x plus y. So what is going to happen is these will be assigned as x and y. So your reduce function is going to take starting two values from your list, and then it's going to perform the addition operation that it was meant to perform, and it will give you number 3. Now again, this 3 becomes x and this 3 becomes y. So again, they will perform the addition operation and you'll get 6. Okay, again your 6 becomes x and 4 becomes your y. It's going to give you 10. And this is going to happen till everything is exhausted, right? All the numbers are exhausted. This is going to keep on happening. Got an idea, guys? This is how your reduce is working. It's taking two element at a time and performing the operation, and then that operation's result becomes the initial element, and then the next element becomes the second one, or the next value becomes the second element, and it keeps on doing this till you get your result. It's going to be 21, 28. You'll get 36. You'll get 45, and finally you'll get the end result, which is 55. Understood how is it working, guys? This reduce function, taking each element or two elements at a time and performing the addition operation, the operation that we wanted to perform, and giving you the result. Okay, so that is how your func will basically work. Okay, do a task, guys. If you have understood this task will be easier. Find out the sum of numbers from 1 to 100 using reduce. Okay, do this. Find out the sum of numbers from 1 to 100 using reduce. Okay. Now, how are you going to write the sum or write the numbers from 1 to 100? That is the question that I have. Okay, first tell me how you are going to write the numbers from 1 to 100. Are you going to create a list or what, guys? Loop. Are you sure you want to use loop? Why would you want to use loop? Yes, Ajin, but will it go till 100 or 101? No, Aditya, we won't be using loop, or loop does not make sense here. We only want a function and a list or a sequence. It could be a tuple, it could be a list. Okay, try it out. So guys, you will be using, instead of loops and lists, for representing this, you'll be using range function. Okay, kindly use range function for this. So your sequence will be created with the help of range function, and then your calculation will be performed with the help of lambda. Right? So now it becomes easy. So you have to find out the sum of the numbers from 1 to 100 using reduce. Mm, Kuntal, there is one mistake here. Ramesh, there is one mistake here. Okay, okay, guys. To make it interesting, okay, to make it interesting, find out the sum of the number one, and see, because I see that a lot of you guys are using that. That's why I'm using this. Find out the multiplication of the numbers. Okay. Find out both of them. Right. This will be a bit interesting. Right. Uh, okay, Rajin, going till 100. See, range says that it takes the number of elements or what? Does it, or is it taking the upper limit? So do one thing, print it first. What you're writing is this. Everybody is writing this, right? Almost. One, two. Now, it is not taking 100 number, right? So that is a mistake all of you are doing. It will go from 1 till 101. Okay, you can see here. Okay, Dharmesh, it works for addition. Now do the multiplication with the same. So here comes your a kind of a logical thinking, right? So let's talk about the sum. You have you need to import this first. So I'm going to copy a few of the parts here, right? Okay, I've put a copied the complete thing. Okay, and then range 101, right? Okay, will it work? See, range 101 is going till from 0 till 101. It is including 100, so it should work. Right, so 50-50 is the answer that you should be getting. Now, perform the multiplication task on this, guys. Right. Um, yes, index starts from 0. Yes, if you use the same formula, same mechanism, then the answer for this you will be getting is 0. Why? Because 0 is also there. Then in that case, you'll have to change the range. You'll have to start from 1 and then go till 101. Okay. Okay. So that is what I wanted to explain it to you. But okay, that these are the small things that you'll have to putting, right? So these are logical parts, guys, that you have to analyze by yourself. See, Ramesh, we removed 0 by not starting from 0 but starting from 1. See, we started from 1. You don't have to use list here. Okay, guys, because range itself is a sequence. So you don't have to pass it into a list unless until you want to convert it into a list, right? So you can use range directly. Okay. Okay, I hope that should solve your concerns regarding reduce. Prashant, your second, the multiplication is going to give you output as 0. Yes. Analyze this and tell me why you are getting the output of multiplication as 0. See the structure of range, right? How many elements and what elements range is taking. One of the element, Prashant, when you're writing range 101 is 0, zeroth element. So you multiply anything with 0 is going to give you 0. That's why we started range from 1, okay, in multiplication. So that was all about the functions and functional programming, guys. Right. Next, we are moving to move toward modules. Okay, got it? Great. Okay. Now we are going to talk about and work with modules. Okay. Before moving to modules, there's one more thing that you should be knowing about is list comprehension. Right. The concept is a small one, but an important one, which we call list comprehension. Right. That is the Pythonic way of creating the list. Okay. So what I can do is I can create a list like this. Say new list equals to x for x and Vidhan print new list. Okay, see this? So that is one of the example of list comprehension. So X is going through all the structure and printing each and every element, and that is creating the list. Okay. So this is how you create a list, and that is what we call list comprehension with the help of loops. Um, the theoretical definition of list comprehension, you can say that creating a list with the help of mm, okay okay, if you talk about theoretical definition for this, okay, that's a good question. Okay, okay, the concept I can explain to you, and definition is something that will relate to the concept. The concept is that if you want to create a list, right, then it becomes tiresome, right? That uh, for example, this, if I want to create a list x for x and say range 01. Right. So if I want to create a list which has a lot of elements, it becomes a bit tiresome. Right. You have to write all the elements and everything, and that is quite a long process. So to solve that issue, your list comprehensions were invented or were created. And that is kind of a shorter way or easier way of creating lists with the help of for loop. Right. That is what we call list comprehension. Okay. So all these elements you have to type, you have to put a comma in between, and then you have to create a list, and that is something which is quite a tedious work to do. And you can also commit a mistake. It is time consuming. Right? So to solve that, you have a kind of a formula. Right? This is the formula, guys, actually, right, where you have list variable equals to x for x in iterable structure. Right? That is the syntax. Okay. Right. So list comprehension is the easier and the faster way of creating a list. That's it, with the help of loop, for loop. That is what you can define it as. Okay, you can do something like this also. Uh, let's call it 1. 1 equals to x to the power 2 for x in range 10. Right, that is one of the way of creating lists. Squared, right? 1 0 to the power 2 is 0, 1 4 9 and so on. Right. Okay, that is one of the lists that you can create. Apart from that, um, second that you can do is something a bit more complex. X for x in uh, so you have certain string. Uh, let's have certain string as in okay, x for x uh, in s. Instead of string, let's have a tuple here. Okay, I prefer having a tuple here. 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here I can have if condition if say each element is divisible by 2 and the remainder is 0. See this? You can do things like this. Now they might look a bit complex, right? As in, if I had shown you for the first time, then you might not have been able to understand this. But right now it should make sense. X for x in S, right? So each and every element is going to be presented. But now we have an if condition. This is going to only happen if that number is divisible by 2, right? Simply like 2 here. Okay, see this? So that is how you create lists, right? This is what we call list comprehension. So these are your list comprehension. Okay. See, the reason we have list comprehension, not tuple comprehension, is because list is the structure that is used a lot, right? And creating lists and consuming lists is something that is being done a lot, and that's why we have list comprehension. Okay. Let me know once you're done with this. Then we'll move to modules. Any queries you have, guys? Just go through it and ask me the queries that you have. Any queries, guys? Okay, did you get it, guys? Okay, then let's move to modules. So, guys, create a new file here. Right? Don't name it. Right. Next concept is what we call modules. Right? And modules is a very interesting concept, and that is something which makes Python quite a good language to work with. Right? Okay. Modules is nothing. It's just a Python file. It's nothing. It's just a Python file. Okay. And as you know that Python file has extension of .py. Right? You all know that any Python file that you create has extension which is called .py. Right? Okay. So in short, modules can be any Python file or any Python file that we have created here. They can be used as a module. Right? When I say that they can be used as a module, that means that I can use one Python file into another Python file, or the content, the functions that I've created in one Python file, I can use those functions, those variables from one Python file into another Python file. Right? Okay. So the Python file whom I am using becomes a module for me. Okay. Now, how do you use it? You basically import that Python file, right? The way we imported functools. So functool here is the module, right, which got imported. Similarly, which basically it will be a Python file in your Python folder, right? Similarly, we are going to do the same task. Okay, let's do one thing, guys. Let's create Python file, name it as ex1. Right? Okay, this is going to be our first module. Right? Uh, create okay guys, create two functions. Okay, one is for adding three numbers and two for um, printing name and age of a person. Like create two functions inside this module file. Okay, can you do that? I'm not talking about lambda function, guys. I'm talking about proper function. Like forget about the lambdas now. Okay, lambda is something that we'll be using later on, like when we want to do our task in shorter number of lines of codes and faster. Okay, so first is add me, so a comma b comma c, like which you can return or you can print. It's up to you. I prefer having a return. Second is my info. I'm taking name age and I'm going to simply print. Okay, we have created two functions. Now create two variables also. Say for example, x equals to 45, y equals to something like this. Right. So this is one of your Python file. Now what we're going to do, guys, is we are going to use this Python file ex.1 as a module. Right. So when I say that I'm going to use it as a module, that means that this Python file is going to be using another Python file. Okay. So this is your one Python file. Create another Python file, guys, and name it as uh, ex2. Right. Okay. Let me know once you have created this. Go ahead, guys. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rajan. See, so this is a Python file, and if I want to use it as a module, right, and I'll have to import this Python file. First thing that you're going to write is import, right? Importing ex1, which is the Python file name. Now, what does it mean is basically I am calling the ex1.py completely in my ex2.py. Now, what does it mean? The significance is that now I'll be able to call x, y variable, x variable, add me, and my info functions inside this, right? Let's see how you can do that. ex1 dot, for example, add me. I go to, right. Now, all these functions that I am going to call, since these are inside ex1 file, so I'll have to use a way like this, ex1 dot add me. So all the variables and functions you can call with the help of the name of the Python file. Say for example, uh, print ex1.x dot y dot my info. Okay. Now if I run this code, I can run this file completely, right, with the help of this run button. You can see that it has given me all the values. Mm, admin is not coming up right? Okay, we didn't, we'll have to print it, right? So basically this will have to print, okay? Yeah. See, we have different, you can say that, ways actually, right? Double underscore init, double underscore is basically that we use for packages, right? Let me show you an example. Right. So what we do is, the thing that you're saying is, we create a package, right? Let's say that we call it a pack, right? Inside this package, you can have multiple Python files. Okay, you can have multiple Python files. Say for example, 1.py. I can have uh, uh, something like this. 2.py and so on, right? Let me name it. Right? Now, these are the files that you have. Now, in which order which file is going to be executed, right? And how to initiate these files. And for doing so, what we do is we create a file whose name is underscore init underscore dot py. So when your package is executed, right, and then we convert it into a package, like a complete package, when this package is initiated, the first thing that it reads is this underscore double underscore init double underscore dot py file, and accordingly it executes all of them. Right. That is the significance of double underscore init double underscore file. Okay. It's a complete file name inside which you contain all the information about different files, or how the variables you are going to declare, or what is the order in which you are going to call them. Right. Okay. Say for example, you're creating a game, right, in game development, and in game development you can have multiple folders, right, or in a website, right? The example that you're giving is of a website. So in a website you can have different codes, right? As in, one code is for calling the background database, one code is for initializing the JavaScript or rendering the um, Jinja framework, right, or Jinja template, or one is for you're handling your server. All these Python codes, you can write it down like this, different scripts, and then you can mention it in this folder, which is init. Right? That is what init is used for, basically. Right? Whether it is in package, or is it in your Flask or Django's framework, right? Whatever framework you are using. Sure. If we get time, I'll show you. Right. So it's quite interesting. It's quite easy actually. Right? But right now, it's not our main target. Right? Okay, so here, since we are returning it, so we can assign it to a variable like ab equals to this, and then you can print ab, and you can run this code. So you can see this. These are the things which is happening. Okay, now what exactly is happening here? So basically, if you see here, I am able to use the functions of ex1 file, ex1.py file, as if these are my local methods or local functions and local variables. Why and how I am able to use it? Because I'm importing it, right? Importing the complete Python code. See, the reason I'm able to import it directly is because they both are in the same location, right? Okay, if they were in the different location, guys, then I wouldn't have been able to do so. So your ex1 and ex2 are in the same folder, right? Okay, that's why I'm able to do this. Imported. If the location were different, then I would have to give the address here, or else I would have to put it in some place from where I could universally import it, and that place is where your all the Python packages are, right? That is your user vidhan slash app data slash local slash programs slash python, and inside that you can put it, so you can access it from anywhere. In that case, you don't have to give the address. I'll just show you that scenario also, right? Okay, now what happens, guys? Yes, Rajan, I'm coming to that only. Right. Okay, before that, I just wanted to explain you some of the concept. Now, what is happening here, guys? So whenever you are calling ex2.py, it has to call ex1 also, right? So it reloads your module ex1 again and again, right? Now, to save this time, that okay, every time when you're calling ex2.py and your ex1 has to be reloaded. Now, this task can consume a lot of time, right? It's a time consuming task. And imagine that there's no change in the code, then every time you're calling ex2.py, it will reload ex1.py and it is going to consume a lot of time. So for saving that time, what Python does is Python creates a cache folder, right? So you'll find that you have a cache folder created in your system, and that cache folder is of your ex1 uh, code, right? So it's like a already created image of ex1, right? So instead of reloading the complete code, what it does is it calls this image, right, which is already, you can see that converted into a format which is easy for ex2 to execute, right? Or compiled, or you can see that it's compiled format, okay, interpreted or compiled format, okay. So in this case, your code will run faster unless until you are not changing anything in ex1. Unless until you're not changing anything in ex1, your Python is going to load this file, right, which is compiled Python. Or if you have done some changes in ex1, your compiled Python, that is ex1 in PyCache, will be changed first, and then your this will be executed. Okay, understood? So these are the things that your Python does for you. Okay. Now I want you to do the second task that I want you to do is do a little bit of. See, one, you have to find out the palindrome. Second task that you need to do is search more about PyCache. And third task I want you to do is find out about main, double underscore main double underscore. Okay. Right. So this is the one way of importing your module. Right. Now this is the simplest way of importing a module. Right. Okay. Now you can also do selective import. Right. Now in this way, guys, I don't feel comfortable. Right. Because you're importing ex1, and every time I want to call the some variable or some function from ex1, I have to use the file name and the dot operator. I don't feel comfortable with that. So what is the solution for this? For this, guys, what we do is we use selective import. Right? That means that I can import what I want, that much only, not more, not less. Right? How do you do that? Okay, I'm going to comment this. From ex1 import, what do you want to import? Say I want to import admin, and I want to import my info. Okay, you can import it like this. No model name d1.pye. Uh, Damish, I didn't understand what you're trying to do. Okay, now you are doing selective import. In this scenario, you don't have to call these methods with the help of the ex1. You directly call it. For example, I can call add me directly. Let's call my info, right? Because it is printing. Let's run this. you see that I called my info directly as if my info was a function which was created in this file only. But we know what we have done. We have imported it from EX1. Now we are doing selective import. That is, we are only going to import what we need. Apart from that, we are not going to import anything else. Right? Okay. I think I'll repeat from here in the next lecture, guys, because I have to tell you a lot of other things which are connected to this. Okay. I think we should end lecture here only. Now, if you have any queries, you can ask me regarding this and regarding anything else. You can't import D1 module. First of all, do not write d1.pye. Right? Simply write D1 first. Second, is the other file name D1 or not? Ramesh, kindly check that. So other file name should be d1.py. Is it so? Sure, Rajan. See what I have done here, Ramesh. ex1.py, and then here I'm importing ex1. They both have to be in same location. Like for now, you can keep them in the same location, and generally we prefer keeping them in the same location. It is. If you want to sign off, guys, you can, right? Rajan, I'm going to unmute you. You can ask your query. Yes, Rajan, please tell me.
Hi, Vedanji.
Hi.
So, yeah. Basically, like in the following example that you have just showed us, you have directly imported, I mean, from the particular file you have imported import for a particular function. Now, the way
Yes.
I'm a bit confused because we used to do it in the past. First, we like call the function from the module, and then we like instantiate it. So, can you please explain me like why do we instantiate?
Okay, here we are not instantiating it at all. We are, see, okay, I'm going to delete this. Okay, here what we are doing is, uh, see, first of all, what do you understand by instantiation? Hello?
Like assigning a variable, yeah, like assigning a variable or a name to that particular function that we just imported,
Okay, any other way in which you can define instantiation?
or like we can use it in our particular, like if I'm importing some class from models in
Hmm.
views, then that particular name in view will be like friendly to me while I'm configuring the views that I have. So this is as
Okay.
far as my understanding goes. Yeah.
So when we say instantiation, right, or creating a variable or instantiating a variable, we are basically kickstarting it to work further, right? Or we are assigning it a initial value, whether it is on runtime. Right? Normally, instantiation is the word which is associated with the runtime, right? Assigning of the value at the runtime. Okay. Now here we are not doing anything like that, right? Because the functions are your straightforward functions. See, these variables are, we are simply calling the variable, we are printing it, and this function is only printing us the values. So we don't need to instantiate them. Now, if you look at the other case, which is basically your add me, right? Now, add me is basically giving you a value in return. So we'll have to assign it to a variable. And that is what we are doing here. We have assigned it to a variable and we are printing it. Okay.
So I think it's depend on the type of function that we have created or the type of class
Yes, it
that we have created.
depends.
Uh,
Yes, class, we
whether
have not
we
created class at all here actually. We're only dealing with functions. Okay. So basically, instantiation is more related to objects, right? And I'll show you that too, right? I'll give you an example of classes also, right? But these are the things that I had left in the course. The reason was to dive more into logging, reading log files, or simplifying your work, automating your task. And for that, your lambdas, your regular expression, your file operations are more important. So I was not intended
yeah.
to go into the classes actually, right? But we'll see that part also. Okay.
The other thing, Vedanji, is that I've been into the course from like 4 session, and
Sorry.
I've tried to like automate some things for me. I've tried to automate some things for me in the office also. When I create a particular user as a server admin, I have to create users every day to assign a certain person to the Git repository. Then
Okay.
I used to like create password generator and then copy the password. Now, uh, by learning from this class, like I have created a script that automatically gives me a particular amount of characters in a password, and it's randomly generating. So every time it's a new
Okay.
password. So like I can by doing these types of things, I can like automate my work
Yes.
daily on a daily basis.
Yes. Yes. We have not come to that
Yeah,
point, but yes.
but the problem with me is that while writing that script, it's just a 4 line script. I've used random, I've used string, and I've used join function. But the thing is that
Hmm.
I had to do 7 times. Then it came to me. So
Yeah.
like I know like the hard way. But there are
See,
some
that is
people
how it's
in
always going to work. When you're learning a new language and when you want to be proficient in that language, you have to do practice a lot, right? So that is the learning path that is going to have happen, right? 7 times, 8 times, 10 times. Okay, that is something that
yeah,
is you'll have to figure out by yourself how you're going to apply the logic. I can give you the tools. I can tell you okay how things are going to flow, but customized logics have to be yours only. Right? Or logics have to be customized by you
yeah,
only, right? Okay.
I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Vedanti. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Welcome. Welcome, Rajint. Okay, Sagar. Yes, Sagar. The issue is that the map object that is created, if you're not saving it anywhere, then it is going to return you an NT, right? So call the map object also, and after that, your conversion will happen, right? Your map function will work. Okay, so you'll have to save it in something. Save it in a list, or call this object again. Actually, yes, Ramesh.
Hello,
Yes, please.
hello. It's audible.
Yeah, everybody is able to hear you.
Okay, good morning, Vidan. Actually,
Good
what
morning.
I'm doing here, yes, I make one program and save it as a d1.py and call this module in another program. Import d1, then d1 dot press tab, then automatically the function will display add. But when
Okay.
I run it, then the error will come. No module is as I saw no module available. No module named even. So is there any path required to save my previous function?
If your D1 and your current file are in the same location, you don't have to give the path.
Both are in same location. Even though I get
Both are in the same
the
location.
yes.
Okay, they both are in same location. Now the
Then
reason that you might be getting, sorry,
yes. Yes.
yeah, please
Continue.
tell me. The reason you might be getting the error that D1 module is not available might be you're calling the method wrongly or wrong method you're calling, right? Otherwise, once you import like this, where is
Hmm.
it? right? You should be able to get things. So do one thing. See, create a variable x equals to 20 or something like that in D1 and try to call it in your other file, D2 file, and see what happens. Are you able to see that or not? Okay, do that.
Okay, wait a time. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, any other query, guys? Let me check Sagar. Temp underscore C. Map lambda. Okay. Is this formula correct? Okay, kindly check. Okay. I think yeah, it's correct. Print. Let's test. No, no. See, I'll show you. See here. This is what we were doing, right? And yeah, see here. Uh, Say for example, I want to calculate this. FAH lamp is the value, right? And we have already calculated this, right? Now, if I run this, then I'm going to get an empty list, and that is what you're getting, also getting, Sagar, right? You're getting the empty value. Now, what you need to do is you need to execute this first, right? So that the value gets stored in FAH underscore lamp, and then you need to execute this. Okay, either you copy it and you paste it here somewhere so that when you run it together, you get the value. Otherwise, you'll get the empty value. No, no. See your, say for example, FH underscore lamp object. If it is used previously somewhere, and then second time you want to use it, then it is going to give you an empty value, right? Okay. Make sure that your FH lamp, say for example here, is being used first here, and then when I'm calling here, it is giving me an empty value. Okay. So you'll have to write it again actually, so that you don't get the empty value. Otherwise, it will be empty. Sorry, on my console. See, I am trying it here. See, if I run it like this, then obviously I'm going to get the empty value because once I've used the map object. See, Sagar, the point is that once you have used map object, you cannot use it again, right? It will have a zero value, right? It's a object which is created at the runtime. The reason is that, right? Map object. Okay, so if you want to use it again, Sagar, then you'll have to call this map object again. You have to create this map object again like this. Then only it is going to return you the value. Otherwise, it won't. Okay. You getting it, Sagar? Now, do one thing. See, the point is that your maps, this map function returns you a map object which you can use only once. You cannot use it more than once. Okay, because after you have used it, it starts returning you zero value, right? So again, you'll have to create it like this. Where was it? Okay, see this, try it out and come back to me, Sagar. Right? Try it out, and if you face any issue, connect with me. Okay. Okay, guys, that will be all. Signing off now. Have a good week. Bye bye. And these things will be uploaded on LMS on Monday. Okay.